This is a Talk2Jack podcast with UnkuJack, exploring topics on heart, mind, soul, and the human experience. Let's talk. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Talk2Jack podcast. I'm your host, UnkuJack, and I wanted to start off today sharing a story with you. It was something that happened a very, very, very long time ago. So I was maybe about 11 or 12. I don't know, maybe. And I realize now that I'm about to tell this story that it's something that has replicated itself time and time again in my life. But I'm going to share this story first, and then maybe I'll give you a few instances of how these things happen. And I was a little scrawny kid. I know it's hard to tell now with these guns, I'm just kidding. But, I was really scrawny and really immature. I struggled to fit in. I was young. I was younger than most people in my classes. I think I've said that a few times in past podcasts and things. And I struggled to fit in socially. I was great academically, but I struggled socially to fit in. And to be honest, that never bothered me. I didn't know any better. I didn't know any different. It didn't really mean a thing to me, to be honest. I was more interested in just trying to fit in, trying to get along with the people around me. And something interesting started happening. I say interesting because I don't want to say bad, but I started getting bullied. I was bullied a lot by a few different people, but there was this one guy in particular that was just an absolute, he was like a grade A, premium quality specimen of a bully. He was big, he was chunky, he was robust. He took proper joy in inflicting suffering on other people, myself especially. And I didn't know what I did to deserve his attention or his affection, as the case may be. But I never really responded. He would do the things he wanted to do, and I would just walk away. But there was one day in particular that I don't know what happened. I think I just had a really bad day. And he was in a particularly bullish mood. And I remember the first incident was he had tripped me while I was walking down the stairs. And there were these, concrete with terrazzo stairs. And I remember falling down the stairs. I don't know how I didn't break my head open or break a limb, but I remember tumbling down the stairs and falling into this toilet. And if anybody knows anything about the toilets back in school those days, they were nasty. Nasty. And I remember rolling down the stairs right into the toilet, and I remember getting up, frustrated, angry, seething with anger. And yet, I just looked at him at the top of the stairs laughing with his friends, and I walked away. I don't know why I kept doing it. I don't know why I always managed to do it, but I did. I walked away. And I went back into the classroom, and I think I'd found some solace somewhere. Somebody was talking to me. I calmed down, and we were good. And then maybe about an hour later or something, he comes back in, and at the time I was copying notes, trying to make some notes, and he came in and grabbed my pen. And I remember specifically not responding at the time. I asked him for my pen, and he didn't return it. He just kept laughing at me and tapping on my desk and flipping on my papers on the table. And so I pulled out my spare pen, because you had to have a spare pen back then. And I pulled it out, and I started writing my notes again, and this time he grabbed the second pen, and this time I remember feeling the anger coming. And I got up and I faced him. I squared up to him and I said, "Give me back my pen." And he just kept laughing. And I think that's what I remember the most, was him just laughing, and the other people laughing, and everyone else in the room just either quiet, watching, or laughing. And then I asked him for my pen a few more times. And that's the last thing I remember, was asking for my pen. That's the last thing I remember, was asking for my pen. That was it. I lost it. I don't know what I did. I've been told. I don't know that I believe them, but I guess they had no reason to lie. But I heard I was basically like a rabid animal, and I beat the living shit out of him. And I had to get pulled off by a bunch of people who had been there the whole time, watching me get bullied. People who were there the whole time, either laughing at my being bullied or just watching me get bullied. And nobody stood up for me. Nobody got up to help me. Nobody stood up in defense of me. And they are the ones I want to talk about. How the story ended up is irrelevant. I know I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger, but it really is irrelevant. Who won the fight? I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember the fight. I don't know what happened. I blacked out. But I will tell you this. He never bullied me again. But that's besides the point. I know the story started off with the bully, but the most important component of the story to me are the spectators. The people who stand by and watch while things happen to you. The people who claim to be your friends and just watch while you go through stuff, and they never raise a finger to help. They never raise a finger to intervene. They never ask how you're doing. They never stand up for you. They just watch. Or even worse, the people who laugh behind your back, or maybe even to your face. Oh, it's a joke. I was just joking. But they laugh at your pain. They laugh at your discomfort. They laugh at the thing that you're going through. And you call them friend. There are people who have changed in your life, people who once walked around with you, who spent time with you, who did great things with you, opened up their lives to you. And the moment you start going through stuff, they're not there. Hey, look, you're good for a beer. You're good for a glass of wine and some gossip. You're good for some whiskey and a good time. You're good for a dinner date or, a movie. But when shit gets real, they just watch. Now, it's unfair to put all your expectations on people. It's unfair to expect that people will be more to you, more for you than they have the capacity to handle. But it is instructive to remember that not everybody that's in the room with you, not everybody that's in the space with you, not everybody that is watching you has your back. And the people that you invest the most time into, the people who you invest the most energy into, should be the people who will stand up for you when push comes to shove, quite literally in my case. People who won't watch you going through things and just stand at the sidelines laughing. Or even if they're not laughing, maybe they're not taking joy in your going through and what you're going through, but they are just watching and not doing anything to help. Not a kind word, not a shoulder to lean on, not advice, nothing. They're just watching. It's interesting, but it's important for you to know, because I said it in a previous podcast, but we need to be conscious of who we invest our time into and who we mark as being in our circle. And we need to have concentric circles of people and assign people to the rings where they deserve. You being in the nucleus in the center, and the closest people to you deserve the most of your time, the most of your effort, the most of your energy, because they are the people who will go to bat for you, who will stand up for you, who will form a ring of defense around you when you're in trouble, who will be there for you when you need help. And then just as the ring expands, the less effort, the less time, the less energy, the less investment that you place into them. And that way you're not spreading yourself so thin. Because whether we like it or not everybody's going to have our backs. Sometimes people in our lives are just there to be spectators. And we're there busy investing our time and our energy and our efforts into them when they're not deserving. When all they'll do, like the guys in my situation, would just stand at the sidelines and either just watch or laugh. We deserve people that will stand up and intervene. People who will stand up and say something or do something. That's what I got for today. I hope you found that interesting. Please like, share, subscribe, and as always, be inspired. This has been the Talk2Jack podcast with UnkuJack. Tune in next time for another episode.